Hi guys. So as you know, this past week I've been on jury duty, and because of the way that it works, I haven't been able to actually talk to you about what was going on in the courtroom, what the charges were, why I was surprised I got on the jury, and all of that stuff. So now that it's over, I've chosen to go into a secluded place that I can just talk and let you kind of know what was going on in there, what was going on in my head, and kind of open myself up to you guys a little bit more. The basic charges in the court case were between two homosexual women and forcible penetration. That was essentially what the crime was. And the reason that I was extremely surprised that I got chosen is because I myself am a homosexual and I am a victim of sexual abuse. So usually they dismiss people with that kind of bias, but for whatever reason they chose to keep me on that jury. But now I just kind of want to talk to you and open up to you about my experience being abused in that way and moving on from it and all the like. I was repeatedly molested and abused by my uncle from the time I was maybe early 13 to the end of being 16. It was kind of a long time, but it wasn't often. It was just when we would visit. The first time it occurred, it was just numerous times in a row. I was up in Canada visiting my family, and he happens to be a Canadian citizen. And he was extremely opportunistic when I stayed over at his place because I didn't know that was going to happen. He was extremely opportunistic when he stayed over at the houses of family members that I was staying at. And it was just numerous cases where he would try to get me alone, try to lure me numerous places, and then he would force himself upon me. I never thought that it had affected me too much, and I still believe that to this day, but it's something that I honestly don't know. It's something that I have gone to counseling for. It is something that I'm open about. It is something that my family knows, and although I wasn't affected by it, I don't think at least. When I say I wasn't affected by it, I don't mean at all. I mean, I don't have any psychological harm done. I'm not bitter or resentful, none of those things. But I mean, I was sad, I was scared, I didn't want to be in that situation. And I was afraid to tell my family because I thought that if I were to say anything, it would be my fault that something would happen to the family. Should the family split because of taking sides? Would anyone be devastated? I didn't want to be responsible for that, and it took me a really long time to learn that any of those things that might happen wouldn't be my fault. It would be his. And that I was simply the messenger, and that I really was the victim, and that it wasn't a perceived victimization. I had truly been victimized in that instance. But when I finally told my family, um, we went through the proper measurements, we did everything we could. Unfortunately, we couldn't take any legal action because of the fact that he was a Canadian citizen. But we tried and it didn't work out. And about that, I'm not bitter. I've moved on with my life. I can be happy. So that's all the detail that I feel I need to get into. Um, I mean, maybe the court recognized the fact that I wasn't traumatized by it or scarred by it or anything, and that may be why they kept me as a juror. Um, but nonetheless, it's something that I've decided I've moved on from. However, it's not something that I keep closed, and it's not something that I broadcast. And I realize the irony of saying that while uploading a video on YouTube about it. But because of the nature of the court case, the emotions that were involved in that courtroom, and my experience, I wanted to come to you guys and let you know and to speak to anyone who may be in that situation of being abused, of knowing someone who's being abused, or still dealing with the emotional scars, the psychological scars from such an experience. Because it's extremely important to open up to the right people in the right ways and to take the action that is best for you or whoever it is that you know that is going through something like this. With this particular case that I was a jury for, we came to the conclusion that the defendant was not guilty. So it makes me want to reevaluate my experience being abused sexually and to appreciate the relationship that I can have with my boyfriend of our sensuality and all of that, because it truly creates a greater meaning for the beauty that we have in that. And I know that that sounds extremely cheesy, but it's true. And I just want to open myself out to you and tell you that you have the right to be happy, and you have the right to speak out if someone is doing something to you that they shouldn't. If you are going through something like this, or know someone who's going through something like this, contact the proper people, let the proper people know, stop it, because you have a right to stop it. With that said, I hope you guys have an amazing Labor Day weekend. I will definitely see you tomorrow. And as of right now, there are 15 days until I move, and hopefully those are happy days with no jury duty and no sad human behavior. So I love you guys. Thank you for watching, and take care of yourselves.